everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Kylie and I'm so happy that you guys are here. Welcome back to another episode of Movie Monday, where I sit down and critically assess and discuss films with you guys. I'm so excited for this week's episode because this is a movie that I have never seen before, besides me just watching it before I filmed this video. So the movie that we are going to be discussing today is called Roadhouse. Roadhouse, like I said, I've never seen it before, but I've definitely heard about it from other things.
Roadhouse.
So I just watched this movie for the first time, rented it on YouTube so I could watch it, and now I can finally sit down and discuss it with you guys. So if you don't remember the criteria that I used to discuss my films, I'll link it I will put it on the screen right over here. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. So if you do see me looking down, I have my iPad where I took my notes, so if you see that, that's what I'm looking at. But anyway, Roadhouse is a film from 1989. It was directed by Rowdy Harrington, and it stars Patrick Swayze. It is about this bouncer who works at a bar, and he's like really well known for being the best in the business, and he gets hired by someone who really needs help like transforming his bar into a place that he wants people to be at for his town. So Patrick Swayze is the main character, and he moves from his big club where he's like really well known to a club in Missouri that is really in rough shape. The bar has to be caged in from people throwing bottles at them constantly, and there's just a bunch of fighting going on all the time. And basically the Dalton is the character that Patrick Swayze plays. He was hired to turn this bar around and make it a good place to come. So that is the premise. The antagonist in the film is a rich businessman who thinks it's like his job to go around and take money from all the small businesses in the town because he put them there. And he thinks he runs the town and can do whatever he wants, and quite frankly, everyone who lives there is sick of it and wants nothing to do with this rich man anymore and wants him gone. So that is the premise to Roadhouse. One thing I say is I still don't know after watching the film why it is called Roadhouse. The bar in the town is called the Double Deuce, so I just don't know why it's called that. But some films are like that, you know, it doesn't matter. I just thought that that'd be something I would mention. Getting into the criteria, the first one being story. So one thing I really noted about this film is how fast it drops you into the conflict. So you open the film, you get the opening credits along with images of the bar that Dalton currently works at, and you see Dalton throwing these rowdy people out of the bar. And immediately after, a man comes in, approaches Dalton, and he's like, "Hey, I recently came into some money, and I want to upgrade my bar and make it personable." And he's like, "I want you to come work for me." And Dalton's like, "Okay, sure." So that is the exposition of the film. You don't get to know anything about Dalton. They don't really explain what he does. You just have to figure it out from the film. And I feel like I caught on pretty quick because I googled the movie before to see like what year it was and stuff, and I knew that he was a bouncer, so that's, yeah. And so he moves to this town and he goes to this place, and yeah, the bar is terrible. Everybody's fighting. It's an 80s movie, so you know there's gonna be boobs, and there's just blatant disrespect for all the women there, blatant just sexism, and yeah, it's rough. It's not a good place. And Dalton comes in and he's just like looking over everybody, watching them, seeing what they're doing. And then after one night of being there, he holds like a meeting with the team, and he's like, "Okay, half of you fired." And everybody gets mad about that. but he basically comes in and makes this place better, and makes it over the film goes on. As the film goes on, you can see it progress to a cool place that everybody wants to be in. It's like the hot spot to be on at Saturday night or something like that. So they upgrade it with some cool neon signs, which are a big thing in this film. There's a lot of that, which I enjoy, but we'll get into that for the cinematic aspects. And then I would say, I don't know, halfway through the movie, you are finally introduced to the love interest of the film, after Dalton gets stabbed from doing his job, and he goes to the doctor, and he meets this doctor, and they kind of fall in love. And then the big mean business guy kind of comes in, and he rears his ugly head, and he's like, hey, just in case you forgot, I own you, and I own this town. And Dalton's like, yeah, I'm not having any of that. So I feel like this movie, and I actually wrote this in my notes because it's like the best way to describe it. This movie to me is Fight Club meets Bar Rescue, like that show where the guy goes running around yelling at everyone because they're doing such a terrible job.
Listen, your bar sucks. Well.
I feel like that's what this movie is. It's like a mix of those two. And personally, I'm all for it. I really enjoy the movie. I have a soft spot for 80s movies. I love them. But anyway, back to the story. So 2 points that I wrote down for the story, and this kind of comes in at the end. If you go any further, there will be spoilers. I'm just gonna say that now. I know a lot of film people don't spoil a movie, but if you haven't seen it, go watch it and then come back. Or if you don't care, if you're not gonna watch Roadhouse, then hello, thanks for watching this video still, even though you don't care about Roadhouse. So 2 things that I wrote down that have to do with the entire story that I kind of had a few questions about. So near the end, when Dalton has this like he wants revenge for all the bad things the businessman and his goons basically have done, Dalton just 100% rips the guy's throat out, and his girlfriend, or the love interest that he's dating, sees him do this, and she's appalled, as someone should be, seeing someone rip a guy's throat out. And yeah, she runs away, and then Dalton goes to see her the next day, and he's like, come on, we gotta leave town, like, I can't beat this guy, we gotta go. And she's like, no, leave me alone. I watched you kill a man. Basically. So, it's a lot more dramatic than I'm making it sound, but I really just... yeah. Okay, so he kills a guy, and she sees it, and she's mad at him, as she should be. And then the bad businessman, I really don't remember his name, but that's what I'm referring him to. Brad. His name is Brad. So the bad businessman Brad, that's so hard to say. Rich guy Brad just decides to kill basically Dalton's mentor. He dies. And Dalton's pissed. So he goes on this rampage and attacks everyone that lives in the rich guy's mansion. And then, blur of events, he takes out these people one by one. And then Dalton finally has the final fight with Brad. And he is about to rip his throat out. Like, his hand's like this, and he's standing over him. And then his girlfriend walks in, and he's like, I will not kill you. So, he gets off him, and you're like, oh, Dalton, what are you doing? But at the same time, I'm like, good, he didn't kill a man. And then all these people from the town come in that you've gotten to know over these last 2 hours. And even though Dalton doesn't kill the bad guy, everyone else does. They've all brought a shotgun, as if this is a planned event that we didn't know about. And they all just take turns shooting him. It's very gory. It's an 80s movie. What do you expect? Not mad about it. Well, a little bit. But then my big question is, how does his girlfriend, just seeing all of this happen, forgive him? And it's fine because they were bad people and they're in love? I don't know. I don't understand love. If this makes sense to you, if you're in love with someone and you saw them rip someone's throat out and then kill a bunch of other people, but then leave the bad guy to be killed by everyone else in the town, you just say, oh, it's fine. I'm cool, you know? I don't know. That was my major discourse with the story, is the whole thing about Patrick Swayze goes on this killing rampage for all the bad people in the town. And yeah, they are bad people. You see them blowing up people's houses, and they technically do try to kill people because we run this town. But she just forgives all that, and they live happily ever after because all the bad people are dead. And that's the story. So overall, I'm giving story an 8 out of 10 because overall I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great movie. I forgot to take notes for a lot of it because I was so enthralled watching it, which is a good sign. It's good when you are wanting to watch a movie and, you know, not sit there and take notes because you're bored. I was not bored, definitely not. There's a lot that goes on in this movie. It is pretty much 2 hours. It's like 1 hour and 54 minutes, so there's a lot that goes on, and it's jam-packed, and there's not a single minute where you're bored, which is good. But the only thing was that, I thought the love interest was brought on very quickly. Like, there wasn't a lot of exposition with them, and then all of a sudden, they're just making love. And you're like, oh, alright, that's fine. And then she, after knowing him for like a week or two, forgives him for murdering someone in front of her. So, yeah. Overall, I enjoyed it. 8 out of 10. Let's move on to score. I don't have a lot written for score because it wasn't anything like out of the ordinary. It was an 80s movie, so you got synths in there, you've got drum lines, you've got bass, you know, the normal 80s stuff. And then something I thought that was really cool was they got an actual band to be in this movie and be like the main band for the Double Deuce, which was really cool. The band is called the Jeff Healy Band, and in the movie the lead singer and guitarist is blind, which is really cool, and he knows Dalton for some reason, I don't know, and they're like good friends. So the band was great. I really liked their music. I loved that aspect of it. So, but there's not much more to say about the score because it's typical 80s music and it's typical like bar band music, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't anything special. So I'm giving score an 8 out of 10. Moving on to cinematic elements of this film. This movie is filmed very well. Just by Googling it, I can see that this movie had a $15 million budget, and it definitely used it to its advantage. There's an entire scene where they take a huge truck with huge tires, it's a monster truck basically, and they drive it through a car dealership. And that scene alone made me just think, wow, how much money they spent. And the quality is very good. This movie is 1989, so it's technically 80s, but it's really close to the 90s, so the technology is going to be better and than it would have been like at the beginning of the decade, but I digress. It was filmed really well. The quality was really good. So overall, I enjoyed the look of the film. Like I said, there was a lot of neon signs. The first thing I noticed about this movie, just like the first thing in general, was when I said at the beginning of the film, you have a shot where it's coming down on this sign, and then there's a blinking part of the sign at the end, and it blinks to the music. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but I really I love when films do that. I love it. So just that tiny detail, I was like, ooh, that's nice. So, and then, like I said, a lot of neon lights. There's this shot at like halfway through the movie where Dalton is talking to Brad, the mean businessman, and they have Patrick Swayze like walk behind Brad as he's talking, and the camera follows him kind of like going in a circle, and that shot caught my attention because it's so cool, and it was so unprecedented. Like, I was listening so hard to like what was going on in the story, and I was so enthralled, and then this shot just comes in and I'm like, whoa, that's cool. So I enjoyed that shot. I obviously will play it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But that was one that caught my attention. As for the editing, it's very compact. So like I said, there's a lot that goes on in this 2 hours of this movie. And I feel like all the scenes were so intentional with what was said and what was seen. There's really no, I mean, there's some B-roll in this film. Obviously, there's a lot, like, you can't really make a film without B-roll, I think, because it adds a lot to the story. But this one, the only B-roll you really see is like the beginning and ending of scenes where you're switching where you are, and so they have to show you like where you are. and all of the scenes are just composed of like, you see where you are, the action happens, and then you switch the next scene, and it's really compact like that. And every scene is just very concise. So I thought that was a unique editing style, and I enjoyed it, and there's not much else to say about it. I really have to mention the 80s costumes in this film. I'm putting some examples on the screen of ones that particularly caught my eye, because they came on screen and I just thought, this is so 80s and I love it. Okay, it was great. So overall, I'm giving cinematic elements an 8 out of 10, because like I said before with the score, it's kind of the same thing. Like, there wasn't a lot of stuff that caught my attention, besides the few things that I mentioned, but it's still really good and it's really well done. But there's nothing that stood out to me as like, wow, that's really cool, if that makes sense. So 8 out of 10 is average for me. Like, it was really good. It was a good film. Count how many times I said good in this video. It was an enjoyable experience for sure. Nothing really out of the ordinary. It was just a good 80s film, which I'm glad to have seen it now. Now whenever my dad says the name's Dalton, I can understand what he is saying, and be like, I saw that movie. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have anything you want to say about the movie Roadhouse, please leave a comment down below. And if you have a suggestion for a movie I should do next week, also comment down below. I'm really enjoying doing this series. It's so fun for me. As a film major, obviously it's something that I'm passionate about, so I am having a great time. And it's a good, not excuse, but it's a good reason for me to watch films that I've never seen before. So if you have one you think I'd enjoy, please leave it in the comments. And yeah, if you like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. Do all the normal YouTube things. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.